Well, hello and welcome to another wonderful session with a live speaker on the International Women in Business Expo, the virtual Expo Summit. And we have with us Marney Perna. Hello, Marney. Wonderful to have you here.
Hi, Sigrid. How are you? It's lovely
Very
to be
good.
here.
Thank you. And Mani is a stress consultant and qualified kinesiologist who is going to surprise us with a segment of her topic today that is related to kinesiology and managing stress, getting out of that overwhelm and coming into a calmer situation or whatever goes down in that direction. Mani, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's stress is a big factor in everyone's life at the moment, and the sessions are being recorded just prior to Christmas, so everybody, well, just about everyone I'm talking to anyhow, are very busy. So they're trying to fit a lot of things into their life. All right. So as Sigrid said, I'm a stress management consultant and kinesiologist. I'm also a published author, women's health educator, and workshop facilitator. So, like everyone, you wear many hats and you wear them in your business as well. So I operate from a home-based clinic, which I have had now for about 16 years. Kinesiology is the modality that I found when my family had health issues and mainstream weren't helping them. So what happened was I went along to a weekend workshop and I was hooked. And you really don't stop once you start. It was very strange for me. I came from quite a normal, what I call normal background. If I was sick or the family was sick, we went to the doctor. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But my mum, in her late 70s, early 80s, developed what ended up being Ross River fever. But it was at a time where Ross River wasn't being as easily accepted or acknowledged. So mum was a bit overweight and she was definitely old, and she was constantly being told if she wasn't old or fat and if she did more exercises, she'd be fine. And it just wasn't the case. She had no energy. So we found natural therapies, and thank God for that. And it's been a wonderful learning curve since. And when I started learning, it was so foreign to me. I'd go home and my head was like that because you had to learn new technology, you had to learn new mindset, you had to learn new concepts, and then you also had to try and put it all together and feel comfortable with what you're doing. So eventually, penny drops and it starts to make more sense. And then you get thrown into anatomy and physiology, musculoskeletal, and all those, industrial chemistry and all those sort of subjects as well. So it was 3.5 years of total overwhelm. Okay, so I really understand when new business owners are overwhelmed because they come out of this vortex of constant having to learn and find information, and suddenly they're the person in charge and they have to wear that hat as well as all the others. And I think one of the things I acknowledged very early on, possibly because I was a mature student and not a younger student, so I realized that I could pace myself at the level that was comfortable for me. I still had to learn my subjects and I still had to pass exams and things like that, but I could do the study at my own pace, how I needed to do it. And that's something that I hope people take away from this is don't be pressured into doing fast pace, and don't be pressured, especially if you're doing subjects and your business is one where you're having to get qualifications for. Remember that it's enough. What you find and what you do is enough. And because I think we all come into it thinking, oh, we can't see clients and stuff because we don't know enough. We've got to do this subject or we've got to do this extra module or something. No, the basic ones you learn, or the basic subjects and modalities that you learn, are the ones that you use more often in your clinic. The others are extras and they're icing on the cake and they help you at different stages, but you will find yourself coming back to basic. So just be aware that when you get your first lot of qualifications, don't feel as though you have to keep adding hundreds more. What you've done is enough. You are qualified in your profession. All right. So we got all through that and then the other thing I found with kinesiology anyhow is I had no idea that no one would hire me. Like it wasn't a question I'd ask because I hadn't discovered that before. And suddenly I not only had to learn all these new stuff and think about all that, but I had to open a business. What? Me? How could I do this? So then again, you're a new startup, so you try and do it all yourself. And that's one of the big key points today is don't do it all yourself. Find people in your areas or someone that you connect with that understands the business that you're going to run and can assist you in it. Because you help them by engaging them. They help you because they do a really good job and you don't spend hours and hours and hours attempting to replicate something that you're not able to do. And it's this circular economy. It also helps your headspace. Because what happens to your head, it gets so crammed full of all the things I've got to do that it almost overwhelms you. And quite often you'll just step back and don't want to do anything. So for new business owners, especially, or people starting out, just again, pace yourself in that respect as well. But find people that know LinkedIn, find people that know how to publish a book, find people that know head clearing. Even if you're in that space, you will need help. So surround yourself with people that will help you. Right. So I got all that sorted and I finally got a business and finally got my name and that changed as well. And that's the other thing. It doesn't matter that things change and grow and morph into different things. Initially, I was Marney Perna kinesiologist. And then someone said, oh, you can't have your name on it because if you want to sell it down the track, people won't buy it because it's in your name. And I went, oh, okay. So then I was Caniquely for you. And I thought, that's so complicated. And then one day I was looking at it and I thought Canique and Unique went together. So I created Canique. And I thought, well, that's perfect. So I bought the name and everything. And it wasn't until about a year and a half later that I found out that Canique is actually a Japanese surname. And luckily I'd bought that name because someone else could have bought it. So, but it was a made up name. It wasn't something I knew. So again, it doesn't matter that you're morphing. You're growing all the time and you're adapting to what your business is growing into. And that's kind of what the title initially was about being uniquely you. And I think there's a lot of expressions like fear of missing out, like FOMO, and fear of competition. So I want you to think your other colleagues are not competition. They're complementary and they're collaborators. They're not competing with you because you can have your style of business on every corner of Australia and still attract a client because the clients will be attracted to you and your energy and the look or feel of your website or however. So there's enough. So don't panic. There's enough people around there to use or to use your services. So when that all sort of fitted together and it all started, tapping along nicely, I then realized that stress was the big reason that people did come to me. And it was not easy to find a book that explained what stress was doing to people because I'd say to a client, oh, you're so stressed. Like, oh, no, I'm not stressed. I'm just busy. No, you're stressed. You're in my clinic. You're stressed because stress is what is showing up in the impact of your health and wellness. It's why you're not thinking so clearly, why you're not sleeping well, why your digestion is out of sync, why your muscles aren't recovering after injury. They're all stress indicators. So if you can understand that it's stress, the next thing to do is to actually identify what sort of stress you might be holding. Now, there's a really new stress on the block, okay? And it's an invisible stress. And it's something and that's where the professional business people come into their own with this invisible stress. The invisible stress feeds the energy vampires. It plumps up the sleep suckers. It drains your enthusiasm and energy. It curbs your creative ability. And it hides behind the cloak of busyness. So busyness is another pure form of stress. So don't be busy all the time because what will happen is your body will start to give you, when you're too busy, what will happen doesn't mean you won't do your work, but what it means is you'll start building up a deficit in your bank of energy. And there will come a time where your body will say, right, I've given you leeway to keep doing what you're doing. Now it's payback time. And you will often find that payback time is first day of your holidays or when you can least afford it to happen because all your projects are crashing in on each other. Publishing your book 2 days before the launch, you'll get sick because you've got through all the stress of not the writing of the book, because that's often really the easy part. It's the after part. It's the marketing. It's the publishing. It's getting it edited. It's getting it looking right. It's feeling comfortable. Getting rid of the thing of I'm not good enough to publish a book. That's another big one. All right. So when that's all done, suddenly you've got time to relax, and your body goes, you have time for me now. Where would you like to be sick? So, and what will often happen also is that there's often a system or a body system in your body that is what I call the fall guy. So it's the one that you might often get. If you're going to be sick, this is what you get. So people that got digestive problems, if they're going to be sick, they'll start getting upset tummies, or the migraine will come in, or the chronic fatigue will really kick in. So busyness is not an excuse to not look after your health. You need to factor in, you need to actually book appointments for self-care and management, because there will come a time where you will have to have it anyhow. So you might as well do it willingly and consciously throughout the whole thing. And it's very much, mums are a big part of that as well. So they put everyone first, and that's fine because that's what you do as a mum. But if you don't look after yourself, who looks after your family? So as a business owner, if you don't look after yourself, who looks after your business? Are you aware of what's going on in your business because you're so tired you're not keeping track of everything? All right. So don't take on too many responsibilities. It's not the best for you. All right. And the other thing I found was explaining stress to people. So if you can imagine, you've got your bucket, and I spoke about this yesterday, but you've got a stress bucket and you've got a life energy. Keep your stress bucket as empty as you can so that your life energy has capacity and resilience to keep soldiering on or to keep doing things or being creative. Because if your stress is overwhelming you, you go into what's called flight fight. And flight fight is purely where the body thinks there's danger. It hasn't understood what the danger is yet. It just says, okay, danger, danger, danger. Okay. And when you're in danger, you respond with the old flight fight. You either stand there and fight, or you run because you don't want to be eaten. So you're the eater or the eaten. And from that section, you can't be creative. You can't sit there and have a conversation with whoever's trying to eat you. You just got to hide as best you can. So you need to not be in that constant state of fear or fight flight. And with that, if you can identify what you're worrying about, that's another good way of doing something or finding a solution. What I often tell clients too is, in that moment of fear or danger, imagine that you're standing in the middle of a hula hoop. Now, a hula hoop is, most people would know, it's a round circle and kids play with it and they swing it around their waist and things like that. I refer to that as the stress circle. So from that stress circle, you actually get quite comfortable in the danger zone. You move until you're actually in it and you're comfortable. And then you're doing this whole, what am I going to do thing. If you just move or step out of that stress circle, you can actually be looking in as if you're not the person that's in the middle of the stress. All right. So in the middle of stress, you can't think clearly. You can't be creative. If you step out of that stress circle, suddenly you can come up with solutions. And most people would understand that analogy when you can't think of a thing to say when someone's having a go at you. But the moment you walk away, you come up with lots of things because you've moved. You've stepped out of that spot. And another time when getting out of the spot is really useful is when you're doing something mundane. Now, that could be driving. It could be washing up, especially if you wash up by hand, having a shower. All those things don't take a lot of thought. Now, I know driving should, and it does. However, how often have you driven somewhere and been in such a thought mode that you really don't remember the full drive? You have just gotten there. And you think, oh, gosh, what if something had happened? But you do that automatically, right? And that's when thoughts can start to ponder and think about things. So in the shower and washing up especially is a little bit awkward because you'll often think of negative things. Okay. Now, water is a conduit. Emotions are electrical energy or vibrational energy. They will be energized by the water. So if you have a shower and you're constantly thinking of something negative, move and shower. Start washing yourself a different way, or have a decal or something in your shower recess that says stop. Right, especially people that are in situations like DV, or they're got a lot of anxiety about something that's going on, even with health. So if you can stop your thoughts and go stop and then move, you will be able to retrain your thought. Otherwise, you're pushing the energy electronically or electrically all the time, and you don't get anywhere. All right, so when you're washing up and you're having negative thoughts, take your hands out of your water, move beside the sink, don't stand in your spot. Just remember, your spot's your spot. So be uncomfortable so that you can change your thought process. Right? They're simple things, but they're useful to know because it helps you to cope or to come up with a solution or get yourself out of that situation. The other thing is, how many times in a shower do you have great ideas? Wonderful ideas. Or driving. That's the other one. Driving and the shower are the two idea places. And you get out and then you've finished the shower. So you get out and you towel yourself and you get dressed. And the next time you think of that great idea, it's back in the shower again because you're in that spot again. So another option is to have a whiteboard that you can use with a pen that writes in the shower and write your idea down, or lean out of your shower and write down the idea. You'll drip everywhere, but that's fine because then you've captured your thought. And if you can capture it, you can go back to it. All right. Driving, you're not allowed to stop and use your phone. So unless you can put auto or some recording process on when you're driving, you just have to try and teach yourself when you stop, what was that thought about again? All right, unless Siri can record something for you. All right, but it's that state of automation where some of these ideas really come through from. All right, now where was I? So we've got the Henrys. So remember, you're identifying stress triggers, and from that, if you pre-know something, so you know you've got a big project coming on. So how are you going to monitor your time? How are you going to process that? You need to give yourself like a checklist. So at least if you've got a list down, you can tick it off. It won't go round and around in your head like Groundhog Day. Because if we're not answering the questions or the stress that's happening in our brains, it just keeps talking to us. It'll just keep knocking until you do something about it. So taking action and writing something down is actually a form of action. The body says, oh, thank goodness you've taken notice of me. I can stop reminding you. Because writing takes effort. It means that the brain's got to think, I've got to pick up the pencil, I've got to use the muscles to write and write it down. So it's quite happy. It'll stop nagging you. Otherwise, it just keeps nagging. Don't live in Groundhog Day. All right. Something else that what I find in clinic is that a lot of people, when they're overwhelmed, have a lot of negative self-thoughts and self-beliefs. So imagine that those negative thoughts or those the words that you're hopeless, you'll never learn this, who do you think you are to want to do this? They have a great friendship circle. Right. So as soon as that lack of self-confidence comes in and starts nattering in your ear, they turn around to their mates and say, hey, we're going to have a party here. Come and join us. And you'll find all those negativity things come and weigh you down. Flick them away. Get your fingers and do a flick. And as you do it, think about a positive statement that you can make, like I'm awesome, or that, I'm fantastic, or anything at all. But physically flick the negative things away. You are actually flicking energy away. But you're also taking action saying, I'm not listening to that. Otherwise, they're living in your head rent-free. And you can't afford that. You need to be able to think. You need to be able to be creative. You need to have solutions to whatever's going on. And it really doesn't matter what the challenge is. Your challenge is a challenge. What is a solution, or what are some steps I can take that will help me in that challenge? The other thing you find quite often that you end up doing is you have a go at something new and it doesn't work. You go, well, that's ridiculous. I'm not doing that again. But you might have been so close to the solution. So think about what ingredients did you have in that action or that dream, where if you change one aspect of it, you'll get a different outcome. Because if you do the same old, you'll get the same old result. So you have to make some form of change. And if you decide not to change anything, well, then you're stagnating. So have a go. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It can work. And if it doesn't work, what can you change to make it work? So they're all little tips and tools that help you to cope or to be resilient. And they become habit. So bad habits seem to be created very, very quickly. Good habits just take that little bit longer. Right? So you need to encourage your habits. So 28 days usually is habit forming. So do something for 28 days. Gratitude. Do gratitude for at least 28 days. And sometimes you're so overwhelmed with life, thinking of things to be grateful for are a challenge. So it doesn't matter if you're keeping a gratitude journal or a gratitude jar, which all that is every night before you settle for bed, you write down 3 things you're grateful for. It really does not matter if you write the same things for many nights in a row. Eventually, something else will show up. Right? It's the consistency of writing those things that you're grateful for, but it also trains your body or teaches your body to look for gratitude. So what things can I be grateful about? Because, you know, some people's lives are really not the best, so that they have to work maybe a little bit harder to get that gratitude going. But, you know, the sun came up, or I woke up this morning, you know, that means you're alive. So look for things. And as I said, if you're writing the same things for days at a time or even weeks at a time, that's okay. It's still training you to be grateful. Right. Another thing you can do for worry and stress is how helpful is it when you're worried about something that someone says to you, oh, don't worry about that, it'll be fine. That's no help at all because you're already worried. So what a notion you can use is the worry box. So get a receptacle. Do not make the receptacle the challenge. It just means get a box or a bucket or anything at all. It doesn't matter. And sit down and on 10 different pieces of paper, write your biggest worries. Don't analyze it. Write it down. Just let it flow. As soon as you've written one, fold a piece of paper up and put it in the receptacle. When you get to all 10, get your calendar out and make an appointment with yourself to make an appointment to sit down and open those worries. All right, so you've closed the box, you've put it away, but you've made an appointment in a couple of days' time. When that appointment time is there, bring the box back down. Look at the first piece of paper that comes out. Has something changed? Yes, we'll write the change and maybe the worries changed. Has nothing changed? No? Well, this is what you can do. You're allowed to worry for 3 minutes. So get an egg timer or a timer on your phone, set it, and worry as much as you want over that particular worry. Grind your teeth, hit the pillow, doesn't matter. But as soon as that time is over, say thank you, fold it up, put it back in the box. You will go through that box. Some will change, some will stay, some don't even exist anymore. And you sort of keep doing that process. And what it does is it compartmentalizes worry, but it also gives you permission to worry. And that's good too, because then you're not being told not to worry, which is not productive at all. So I know they're funny little tips, but they're all little things that you can do that assist you to cope. They assist you to be resilient. And, you know, sorry, that's my thing going nuts here. So see how you go. If you would like any help with your worries, your concerns, your stress, contact me. I have a vibrant Facebook page. My details will be on my booth, but it's info@connect.com. And let me help you because I am a stress buster and I love to help people with their stress.
Lovely. Thank you, Stress Buster Marney Perna. That's absolutely excellent. I just love these very practical, short to explain, practical, and things that you can really apply and put in place. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and giving us those practical tips in this session. Thank you.
My pleasure, totally.